Oh, it's a crime. I got no idea. Cool. Hey guys, UpperNimbus here. Sorry, that's just like a catchphrase I say. Um, Hi, yes, I'm UpperNimbus. I am Australian, and right now it's nearly 9:30 p.m. East Coast in Australia. Yeah, so I do Nintendo and JRPG content on my channel. I guess I have some other variety on there, but I do try and keep it mainly Nintendo Switch and Japanese focused. So yeah, that's the kind of content you can expect on the channel. And yeah, I try my best to at least upload once every 2 weeks. It's I tell you what, it's really hard sometimes. Like life just gets in the way, and I'm just like, damn, guess I'm missing out on a video this week. Yeah. Oh, that's not good.
All right, here we go. All right, so they're used to this by now. They're like, "Hey, I can't hear Sue. Thanks, Resh Dog." So you haven't heard any of that shit, which is great. So nobody heard the introduction. I just kind of snuck in like the ghost I am. So they heard your introduction though, which is good. So what I was
Nice.
saying though is, long story short, guys, I apparently forgot to, along with forgetting to add my voice in, I forgot that StreamYards wants money if you stream over a certain amount of hours, and apparently we've done enough liquored ups this month of March to where I've hit that limit. So I had to navigate that, and so I apologize for any delay on my end on that was, and then from there it just became kind of a comedy of errors. It's just associated. But what I will tell y'all is, you fucking try setting up a stream that two people that are an entire world away. See how easy it is. Isn't that right, Nimbus?
Yeah, honestly, like I've got no idea how to set up streams. Like I'm just here for the ride.
Sounds good. Well, I think we're gonna have a good time here today. So Nimbus gave his introduction. I'll give mine very briefly. So I go by Zoo. It's easier than saying Mongan Zoo, or as some of the trolls like to call me, Montezuma is what one I think called me, because he just gave up on pronouncing the name. I am a strange internet ghost, last cool kid on the internet, Dread Harbinger, physical caveman, not 6'1". That's very important to the trolls, and a faceless fuck. I am also a reviewer and digital bartender here. So we're gonna get rolling on this. I guess my first question I always like to ask of my guests is, before we start going into the chat and seeing what everybody's saying, is, tell us a little bit about your experience in gaming, where your first experience was, and tell everybody a little bit about what game cemented you as a gamer. What was the game that really made that happen?
That's a good set of questions, actually. So I've been playing games, more specifically Nintendo games, ever since I was about probably 4 years of age. So I'm a 90s kid. I was born in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. My older brother, he had the Nintendo 64, and it
Okay.
was essentially kind of there. Well, no, I mean, like, oh, because I was born in the early 90s, and I think the 64 was like mid to late 90s. And anyway, so basically, when I was very young, yeah, the 64 came into the household, and being a kid who was drawn to bright, colorful things, obviously I was drawn to the 64, and seeing my brother play it, I was just enamored by it. And yeah, so that's how I was sort of introduced to video games, was thanks to that. And of course, the likes of Zelda, Mario, the usual stuff. And
The
I
usual
don't know,
suspects.
man. I've just been playing Nintendo, especially since like 4 years of age, and I haven't stopped. And I'm glad I haven't stopped, because if it wasn't for gaming, then I literally wouldn't be here right now talking to you.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, if you want, we can definitely get into that later because games are very personal
Philosophy.
experiences. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
Sorry, I'm so
that's
sorry if that got deep straight away.
no. That's hey. Anybody who's seen a liquored up, no, we get deep pretty often here. As deep as I can go when I'm 8 glasses deep. That is, but so yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good introduction. So for me, everybody knows the story, but basically, my first game was Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt NES.
Nice.
My
Nice.
dad basically and I would play Super Mario Brothers together. And oh, that's a fun one, by the way, guys. I think I've got my dad fit with his head wrapped around Discord enough to where I think we're gonna get good old dad on for a talk on kind of separating the myth from the reality. So that seems to be happening probably in the next couple months. So very excited about
Excellent.
that. That should be a really intimate kind of thing, a really interesting talk. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and leave it over to the chat real quick before we start rolling into things. So, Tenebrae says, "Good morning, UpperNimbus." So, yeah, welcome in, Tenebrae. Glad to see you, homie.
All right, Tenebrae.
Rush Dog says, "Morning Zoo and evening Nimbus." So, yeah, Rush Dog's got the time zones dead away. Perfect.
Hello, Rush Dog.
Yeah, hey, Cold Nights Gaming is here. So, yeah, this is the
Hey,
man, the myth,
Jay. How
the
you going?
legend. Yeah, this is
Jay from Cold Night.
Jay from Cold Nights, legendary, absolutely legendary person. So, yeah, welcome in. Glad you're hope you're hitting those balls good in the show. I know we were talking earlier, you were playing that, so hope you're not playing the Switch version. Seems like there's some issues with that one. But why would you be playing
Oh
the show
dear.
on the fucking Switch? Um, what's everyone drinking? Having an Irish coffee zoo? So no, that's what the story I was telling when I was muted. My stash was confiscated. I was told something to the tune of no, it's too early for drinking. So I have the last vestiges of my mango berry Kool-Aid is what I'm drinking here. So, yep.
Nice.
So mango berry Kool-Aid. And by the way, you want to talk about a great crime, a crime against humanity done to the people of Australia. They never got mango berry Kool-Aid in Australia, guys. Can you believe that?
Well, I don't think Kool-Aid is something that Australia has really been associated with. I could be wrong. There might be some remote places, but I mean, I've always associated Kool-Aid as an American thing.
Well, for the most part, you're not missing anything, but there are a couple of flavors that are really good. In particular, the
Yeah.
Island Twist variety, which was a limited run Kool-Aid. So if you anybody who watches Rick and Morty knows of Morty's obsession. Is it Morty? No, it's Rick. Rick's the sociopath scientist. Okay. So
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
of Rick's obsession with Szechuan sauce, which was a sauce from the 90s. My 90s obsession
Oh.
is Mondo Mango Berry Kool-Aid. And it is delicious, and you can still find packets because it's literally just like a sugar flavor packet. And every once in a while, they surface on eBay, and I buy all of them. So I am the guy who buys the Island Twist Kool-Aids. Like that's me. I
Well, it
buy
must be
all
that
of them.
damn good if you're buying it in bulk.
Well, there's never enough for sale in bulk, so I get it when I can. But basically, I'm the guy that buys all the Kool-Aids on that. So, it's the '90s.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
if it's a '90s vintage Kool-Aid, I'm the guy. So then Restock says, "Yeah, I can
Nice.
hear Nimbus, but not Zoo, not an unfamiliar problem." So fucking figures that would
Oh
happen
dear.
again. And so Dowling says, "Sup, dude? What's going on, Angela? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you coming in." Keithius, who's
Hello,
been
Angela.
and Keithius, who's been there, done that, just says, "Lol, lol, lamau." Even I can't get my fucking microphone on. It's early. I'm going to use the excuse of it's early instead of it's drunk. I will never run out of excuses on why I can't add myself into this fucking call.
Yeah.
Chill Collects is in. Good morning, everyone. Early liquored up. Yeah. I think this might be our earliest.
Hello, Chill Collects.
90s handheld gamers in the house. Good morning, everyone.
90s.
And he says, getting liquored up early, Zoo. I would be, but I was thwarted. And then Cold Nights, wishing everybody a good morning. Everybody wishing Jay what's up, saying, hey, good morning to Jay. Rush Dog says, Papa Zoo to review Basson's Black Bass live. Ooh, yeah, Papa Zoo and me gotta talk Basson's Black Bass. Yeah, for sure. If he gets on, that's an amazing one because for everybody, story time real quick. So thanks, Rush Dog, for pointing that out. Story time. So my dad used to play Black Bass on the NES, which is a fishing game. And one of his favorite games on the Super NES was Basson's Black Bass. And I'll never forget, like, watching him play that game. And one of the cool ass things about that game, where most fishing games, you just go cruise around the lake and catch fish. In this fucking game, you could literally find lures. Like, there was places, like if you went to the right place in a lake, you would actually find lures that you could find at that part in the lake if you cast in a certain place. So it literally had like the Nintendo secrets and stuff in a fishing game. And I found that to be so freaking cool. So it's a memory I had. But yeah, we're definitely, if he comes on, we're definitely talking about Basson's Black Bass. 100%. Yeah, that was, I think he still calls it the best fishing game ever made. For whatever that means.
Fascinating. Very fascinating.
So then happened to be up, glad to catch it. So you were telling me about that a little bit. The sleep schedule's a little bit out of whack, but hey, that worked out in this particular case. What up, Chill? And then 90s, I just woke up. Yeah, I've been up for a little while, but had to sort out a problem with Streamlabs, and we got that sorted, so we're good there. Chill says, heading to work, definitely going to be listening while working, LOL. Perfect. Yeah, if I can help somebody get through the work day, I mean, gosh, if I can help one person get through their fucking work day, work can be brutal, man. That makes it all worthwhile. That makes every bit of this worthwhile. 100%.
Definitely.
It's happy hour somewhere. That was my thinking. But the GF did not agree, Chill.
Oh, man.
So then Rush Dog wishing morning Jay to everybody. And then Garrett Thomas, welcome to the stream, buddy. Hope you enjoy. Good to see you here. I love your icon. Is that One Piece? I think that might be from One Piece. I don't know, because I just started One Piece a few months ago and getting a little bit into that.
Good man.
And then Chill Collect says he should play Red Dead 2 fishing. I played for hours. Yeah, my dad has Red Dead because actually I got him a I think it's a PS4 that Red Dead Redemption 2 is on. Because he likes to play the shooter games, and I got him Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know how far he got into that, but if I tell him there's fishing, maybe that'll goad him into playing that game.
Maybe.
I have Red Dead Redemption 1 on the Switch, so I need to play that. So, all right, so I think
just another game for the backlog.
Yeah. Oh God, another game for the list. That fuck. What am I gonna do, Nimbus?
What about your Switch collection?
Yeah, I mean, I got a over 450 now, I think, is where I'm at. And
is that physical?
Physical, yeah.
Oh man, you're beating me.
Yeah, I got 2 whole bookshelves filled up. Finally,
Jesus.
Now people on the Cold Nights Discord are familiar with the picture of the former pathetic setup I had, where I was allotted one small bookshelf of space for all my Switch games. And she finally took mercy on me and said, you know what? Move them to the library. Like, we can swap some books to the small bookshelf and move them to the library. So now I actually can see what the fuck I'm looking for when I go to do my screenshot of my Switch cases for my reviews. I can actually find them without sorting through a million games. This is like a small 3-shelf bookcase, and this bookcase
Yeah.
literally was 3 rows deep, Nimbus, on each shelf. I'm not kidding you.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I couldn't find shit. So I'm glad to have that problem solved. But yeah,
Definitely.
so that said, what you been playing lately, buddy? What you been playing?
That's a good question. Realistically, the last thing I was playing was the what was it? I think it was the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It was the part 2. I think it's called like Indigo Disc.
Okay.
So I was playing that like just barely. I just barely started it. Like I get time. I do get free time to play games, but ever since I've been like working my current job for like the past 2 years, it's sort of like put me in like full productive mode. So I've now got the mindset where I'm like, hey, I've got all these amazing games I want to play, but my mind's constantly like overthinking and it's always alert. And I'm just like, no, there's other stuff that has to get done. So I keep prioritizing more, adult oriented and important stuff rather than just playing games. And that's
Right.
probably a good thing, I guess. But then I'm not really looking after my health and like relaxing either.
Well, I'll tell you, a great unfairness was done to us with the lack of time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you pack this world
Yep.
full of amazing experiences, countries to visit, games to play,
Yep.
food to eat, people,
Mm.
interesting, fascinating people to meet, and then you
Mm.
only give us 24 hours a day to do that for 80 years if we're lucky. It
Yeah,
it
it
seems it
pisses me off.
seems it seems so unfair, but at the same
Yeah.
time, if it wasn't for that time, I don't think we would appreciate it as much. So it's one of those things
Yeah,
where,
that's also
yeah,
true.
it's as I get older and older, like one of the things I realize is like, and it's one of the things I talk about is time is like the one thing that you can't get more of. You can't buy time, and it
Mm.
and it just sucks, unfortunately, because I can buy everything else, but I can't buy time. It's just one of those things. So
Yeah.
you got to be real precious with it, which is why I'm withering it away instead of going through my backlog and playing new games or finishing trails. I'm just playing fucking
Yeah.
Morrowind because why not? It's like the comfort food game for me. So I've got to get off that. I've got to
Yeah.
first off, I got to pry myself off Morrowind. That's step one. Step
Mm.
two is finish Trails from Zero, and again, a fantastic game. I just it
Mm.
happened to come out, unfortunately, right as Tamriel Rebuilt Team dropped the new landmass, dropped the new piece of the mainland for Morrowind. But I am still trying to be a Trails guy. I don't want people to think I've given up on that. I am still trying to be a Trails guy on the internet. So
Yeah.
that's happening. But in general, I kind of share your pain. It's why I'm kind of drawn to the indie games at this point now, because I can knock so many more of them out than some of these 40 to 70 hour experiences that most games demand of our time. Most games are actually very inconsiderate of our time, I feel like. But what do you think?
Yeah, especially for someone like me who likes their RPGs. So I'm like, I've got all these, like at least I'd say over half my Switch collection is probably JRPGs. And I've got all these amazing games, and I'm just like, yes, I want to play them. And again, I could make time if I really want to, but then I'm just like, oh, this kind of has to get done. I'll get around to it one day. And some other content creators, like good friends, I mean, like good friends, like we have this thing where, like, for example, Chicken Fillets, like he'll give me shit that I still haven't played a Final Fantasy game, and it's now this running gag between him and I that anytime he drops a Final Fantasy video and I leave any comment on a Final Fantasy video, no matter what I say, he's like, "Get it played, man, get it played."
So wait a second. You're a JRPG guy that hasn't played a Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, biggest crime. Anyone I'd say that to that I haven't played Final Fantasy, they're like, oh, no,
So
really?
well, and I have some shock in my voice, but some of that now some of that I'm sure you can chalk up to localization at least in the early days. So I know, for example, I don't know if you guys got either Six or Chrono Trigger or Terra Enigma, but I promise you didn't get all three. Back in the
No,
90s.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, I was gonna say I promise you didn't get all three. But yeah, localization, especially on big Japanese games, very hit or miss for until actually about the last 15, 20 years, where they finally started to localize a lot to Australia. And it might even be more than that.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what can explain it. Like, what was the first Final Fantasy game you guys got in Australia?
I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest.
Well, let me
Because, like,
do some research
okay,
on that.
the thing is, because like Final Fantasy has always been more like aligned with PlayStation, and I'm the Nintendo guy, so I haven't never really been affiliated with Final Fantasy because I never had a PlayStation. Like I know these days, like on the Switch especially, we've got a lot of those older Final Fantasy games. Like I actually do own on Switch. I've got Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, and I've also got the twin double pack of FF7 and FF8. So I've got games sitting there. It's just like now, like in adulthood, it's the whole time factor. But as a kid, it's all because I didn't really play a PlayStation, and they didn't have Final Fantasy actively on like Nintendo 64. Like I know it was there for like the SNES, but yeah, like because again, I was a 64 kid. We didn't have Final Fantasy then.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it doesn't even look like you got some of the PlayStation Final Fantasies. And maybe I'm missing it, but from what I'm looking at here, looks like the first one that was that you guys might have got is either 9 or 10. I'm getting conflicted sources, and that's just a brief Google search, guys. But if anybody could
That
confirm
doesn't
that,
seem right. I'm pretty sure we got some of the older ones of like the original PlayStation. Yeah,
okay,
because we got FF7 over here. We definitely got FF7
got
on the
FF7 over
PS1.
here.
That definitely happened.
Yeah, I know there was
That definitely happened.
I
Yeah.
know there was an international version of that, but okay, so you can confirm 7. So definitely 7,
Yeah, 100%.
but we're kind of hazy on 6.
Yeah, see, that's where like I don't really know too much myself. Like, I'm pretty sure we got like some of the older FF games.
Okay,
I can't guarantee that we got every single Final Fantasy game like prior to 7,
okay.
but we definitely got a handful of the older ones. But again, I wasn't there actively myself because either I was born into the 64, so I wasn't really there for the SNES. And then once I sort of went over to PlayStation
Uh-huh.
again, I didn't have a PlayStation.
Right. Before you shuffle off the mortal coil, play Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is one of the greatest RPGs ever made. Period.
Is
Um,
is that because I've heard like some of the like different stories of Final Fantasy games, and correct me if I'm wrong. And spoiler warning to anyone in chat who hasn't like myself who hasn't played FF6. But is that the one where it was like, can I give that spoiler warning and then maybe hypothetically say what I think happens in the game?
yeah, 100%. This game's almost 30
Okay.
fucking years old. If you haven't played it by now, guys, sorry.
Hey, I'm the one who hasn't played it. But is that the one where it's like the world like actually ends and it like rips in two?
Yeah, and that's actually not a spoiler. Like literally, the game when you
Okay.
purchase the game, it actually shipped with a map. It had the world of order and the world of ruin. So it's not actually a spoiler. It
Okay.
ships with a
Right.
map that shows
Oh,
the.
thank God.
Yes, that's the literally. If you
Okay.
want anybody who wants to get big mad about that, like when you bought the fucking game new for $80 back in 1995, it came with a map showing the world of ruin. So not a spoiler. It was literally in the advertising and in the marketing material that happens.
Okay.
So
Right.
yes, that's the one. Yeah, that's the
Oh.
one. It's Kefka.
I'm glad I've got some knowledge despite never playing a Final Fantasy
Well,
game.
it's a lot of this, especially as a JRPG guy. You'll definitely get Final Fantasy VI just through cultural osmosis. It's kind of like me getting Final Fantasy VII the same way. Like I know the beats of
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, even though I haven't finished Final Fantasy VII. And the reason for that is just cultural osmosis. If you're around enough gamers, then you're going to get that absorbed. Now, one game I am completely spoiler free for in the series, and I'm very excited for it, is Final Fantasy IX, which many people hold up to be as good as 6. Some people say it's better than 6. But yeah, that one
Mm.
excites me greatly because I've heard nothing but good things about that game. So yeah, very excited for that. But yeah, I would tell you, like, I'm not going to be one of these people that like does like the shot gasp type deal. Like, oh, you've never played. There's a few Final Fantasy games you have to play. The rest are good to play, and there's even some that are not worth playing. So there are ones there are actual ones I would fucking skip.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely I would play 6, play 7. From what I hear, play 9. And then the rest are kind of depending on personal taste, right? But you got to play 6. And when you do play 6, we got to talk about 6 because I could literally talk fucking endlessly about Final Fantasy 6. It's my absolute favorite. It's one of my favorite games ever made. And that's what I'm saying in terms of like to loop this back into time. I remember when Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy were like the biggest games in the world. Like they were like 40 hours. Like you can run through Final Fantasy 6 in 30 to 40 hours. 30 if you know what you're doing. And if you're not a completionist, you can get through it about 40 hours. And I remember thinking at the time that no game should ever be bigger than this. Well, cut to nowadays where the average fucking game is that. And I know some people are like, and some people are like, well, with games being $70 or $60, they need to be that. But no, not necessarily. No. I remember paying those prices for Mega Man X. I remember paying those prices for, and more for Legend of Zelda. Like, no, not necessarily. I think a game should be a physical game in particular should be as expensive as it has to be based on the replayability or the package therein. Not every game has to be a fucking 100-hour fucking thing in order to justify the money that you're spending on the game. I just
Definitely.
don't. Yeah, But now I think the problem is that they're taking crap games and they're making them $70.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on with games these days, man. Did you see what happened with Star Wars Battlefront collection?
No, I mean, you'll have to tell me. You have to enlighten me.
Yeah, so this game came out. These are games that were like on the DVD player back in the day. So these are like really, really old games. And they take up like 62 gigabytes of data.
What, the new ones?
No, the old ones. Like the Battlefront.
Oh, the old ones, right.
The Battlefront Classic Collection 1 and 2 is like 60 plus gigabytes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's more fucking spaghetti code than there's actual game code in that damn thing.
Oh my god.
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, it's one of those things where I've been saying for a long time that what's happening is they're leveraging new tech in order to make things easier on the development houses. They're not utilizing that tech in order to deliver better games. And it just seems that every single game after game after game just continues to prove my point more and more salient with time. But
would you say that about every game or like specific studios you have in mind?
There are some studios that are worse than others, but I would say in general, barring first-party studios, it is who have to make good games in order to sell their systems. So a lot of your first-party Sony games, your first-party Nintendo games. I don't think Microsoft has fucking first-party, so they're omitted from this.
Not much anymore.
But in general, I do think there are worse studios, but I think it is a rampant problem at this point.
Yeah.
100%. And that's why games that don't do it are well worth highlighting, I think. I feel like if a game does, like, honestly, just making a video game and selling a video game gets you fucking praise now. Like, we're at that level, which is interesting because if you look at like 2023, what's so strange about this? 2023, by any measurement, it was a banger year for video games.
Oh, it was, man, we were eating good last year.
I feel like we got more quality games than we've ever gotten. So I don't necessarily think that these problems are taking away the quality of the games we're getting. But across the board, I'm just seeing practices that just diminish a lot of these experiences, even the good ones. Um,
Mm.
take a look at what Capcom, what is it, Dragon's Dogma 2 just released with shit that
Mm.
absolutely, like, hey, go ahead and pay a downloadable content microtransaction if you want fast travel.
Oh, oh
Are,
my God.
are you
Really?
shitting me? Yeah, really. Really? Yeah, if you want fast travel, you're gonna pay a couple bucks for fast travel.
Oh my God. And see, people pay that because it's like, oh, it's cheap, it's affordable, I'll pay for it. But then think about how many people would have that same mindset and then invest into that and purchase it. And they're like, oh, people want it. So then that
Yep.
entices them to keep doing it for future games.
You're killing your hobby. That's my message to the people who anybody who pays for fast travel on Dragon's Dogma 2, you're killing your hobby. You're killing it. You're
Yeah.
smothering it. It's grim. You're killing your hobby. Video games are still a very young medium, and these kind of practices
Mm.
will fucking drive people off. They will drive people off. So,
Mm.
only the hardcore will do shit like that. And when games are all like that, the only people, uh, the last customers left. This is in any business, okay? So as companies get more greedy, or as times get tougher, and we're entering a period where both are happening. Times are getting tougher for the video game industry. The macroeconomics are going into reverse; they're contracting now, and when you combine that with the absolute greed pigs that run these corporations at times, what I feel like we're getting now is we're starting to get it to where customers are falling off either because of bad economy or because the games aren't interesting anymore to them. And that just
Mm.
leaves the most hardcore gamers, which I always call the leveraged gamers. And so the
Mm.
customers that stay get both ends of the barrel. It seems like to me, like the ones that stay because you've proven you'll stay, you're proven you'll tolerate this bullshit, and so they're going to hit you double
Yeah.
hard. They're going to leverage the fuck out of you. And so, in order to avoid that, I've always pushed the direction, which was in Iwata's Heart of the Gamer speech, which is that you make games for everybody and you make quality games for as many people as possible, for as many audiences as possible. And think of it like a chef in a
Mm.
restaurant, right? You want to satisfy, yeah, sure, there's people who like steak, and steak is always going to be on the menu. That's your 2D Mario, your action adventure Zelda. But then there's also going to be
Mm.
people that want that more esoteric dish. There might be somebody who wants chicken yassa. There might be somebody who wants udon pork cutlet curry. And so have that dish on the menu
Mm.
too. Service everybody. You don't have to apply the same budget to the steak dish as you do to the udon and curry dish. But you certainly should have
Mm.
that appetite that hits as many people as possible. And that's kind of the job of a video game company, is to get as many markets as they can. And I don't know when these video game companies lost a plot. It's really fucking shameful to me, because you're talking about, like, this is the most profitable, not most, I don't know about most profitable, so I won't say that, but video games are the largest entertainment medium on the planet in terms of dollars per capita, bar none. Okay.
Mm.
There's no excuse to milk your customers and pretend like they're pay piggies like this. It's really, really shameful. But I don't know. What do you? I've old man ranted enough. What do you think, Nimbus?
Yeah, well, I mean, you basically took the words out of my mouth. It's just, it has gotten to a point where it's just become all about the money for them. And because, like, the entertainment of video games, it's no longer just like, something fun that everyone sees. It's no longer just like a game. It really has become business. And so you do have these like corporate pigs at the top of the food chain, and they're just governing and controlling everything. And look, I don't like understand everything behind the scenes, but I still feel like I have some sort of awareness of, the way that people behave and the way that they do things. And
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's that much of a secret that, you know, the way things are gone is just it's just not how it used to be. And yeah, it's just scummy. It's just really scummy at the end of the day.
despite some of the high quality games, it just feels to me sometimes like gaming is losing a little bit of its soul each year.
Mm.
And
Not every game, not every developer, but there's a lot.
no, because basically the problem is for every Baldur's Gate 3, for every Larian Studios, you have 100 Warner Brothers Studios. And that's one I love to
Yeah.
punch on because they're just, in particular with the way they treat the Switch, Warner Studios is maybe the worst they're maybe the worst third party company in terms of I
Mm.
don't think they've had a single fucking Switch game that hasn't been a download code in a box or download most of the game or missing
I hate that.
features or is treated like shit. Like,
Yeah.
whether it's Hogwarts Legacy, whether it's fucking Mortal Kombat, whether it doesn't seem to matter. They just seem to treat the Switch like an afterthought. And so my response to Warner Brothers games on Switch is I treat you like a fucking afterthought. Like, if you don't
Yeah.
respect me as a customer, why do I respect you as a company? It's one of those things. So
Exactly.
yeah. So alrighty. So looks like let's let the chat catch up real quick here. So you also don't know how much time you truly have. That's true. That's true. All of our adventures could be cut short today, literally, guys. Live. I'll never forget one of my first jobs is a grocery store meat cutter. Okay, and I'll never forget there were two signs that were hung up in the break room, and one sign said that customers are the reason you're here. And the other
Mm.
sign that really stuck with me, because that's pretty general corporate jargon bullshit. But the other one
Yeah.
that really stuck with me is perform every task like it's the last one you'll perform. One day you'll be right.
Mm.
I remember thinking, that's pretty fucking heavy for a break room sign, but it's a sign that's always stuck with me. So it did its job. Like,
Yeah, I'd say so.
um, because yeah, one day, and it's the same thing with game studios too, by the way. A lot. I wish game studios. I just wish more studios would make every game like it's their last one because one day they will be right. And
Mm.
what a fucking shame if the last game that you're remembered for, if you're Aspire, is this fucking piece of shit Battlefront Classics collection that plays worse than the actual game from like the 2000s. Like how fucking pathetic. That's your fucking legacy. Like,
Yeah, literally going out with the whimper.
yeah, so I just feel like that also needs to be apparent. Now, some of it might not be the studio's fault. I know Aspire is run
Mm.
by what's the name of that behemoth Embracer group that has basically just been a pox on gaming. So some of that might be Embracer, but
Mm.
I don't know. Like, yeah, Embracer Group like literally bought all these studios just to close them up. So they're on my shit list, and then Konami is forever on my shit list. I've got a real hot
Isn't
take
that
coming.
essentially what Microsoft's doing as well?
Yeah, that's what I'll never forgive Microsoft for Ensemble Studios. Microsoft buys fucking Ensemble Studios and then closes them after Halo Wars. Like, this is the Age of Empire Studios. This is like a top tier PC gaming studio development company. And Microsoft just
Yeah.
closes them unceremoniously. The other one I'll never forgive is EA because they actually closed because EA is like a dragon sitting atop its game IP hoard and not doing shit with them.
Mm.
Like, they just buy companies and then just close them so they don't have any competition. That's literally their strategy. So many game they
Terrible.
did that to Star Control too, and they did that to Star Control, and they did it to Ultima. And so those are two of my favorite games
Mm.
series of all time. Never forgive EA for that shit.
That's so sad. That's like really sad, man.
Yeah, Thief. I think they did it to Thief. There's so many. There's
Mm.
so many games. So Angela says Suika is a gem that must be played. I've heard a lot about Suika game. I've heard a lot about that. Have you played that one, Nimbus?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good game. It's a
Okay.
pretty good recommendation.
Suika, okay.
I mean, it's like it's addictive, it's really simple fun, but you could just find yourself lost there for hours.
See, those are some of my favorite games, honestly, is that like kind of that arcade game or that That game that has lots of replay. It might be like might be a 5-second gameplay loop. But oh my God, if that game doesn't just hit the dopamine reactors in your head in a way that nothing else can. Like there's just a 2D, for me, that game's 2D Mario, but I'm always looking for more games that kind of hit that dopamine. Downwell, if you've never played it, Downwell's kind of similar thing, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Downwell's great. And then Tenebrae says, I've not really played Final Fantasy either. See, don't feel bad, Nimbus. There's other folks too that are in the same boat.
Yeah.
Played a bit of Dissidia and enjoy the music, but that's about it. Hey, Retro Complex is up in the house. I think he's going to be coming on with Rad Bash tomorrow, I think.
Oh, nice. So, the boys from Super Retro Force.
Yeah, Super Retro Force. Yep, they're going to come on. We're going to talk a little bit about this situation with what's been going on with the well, I'm not gonna say names. I never say names because I'm not a drama channel. You know, I don't want to throw anybody out there, but there is somebody who has had very, very bad behavior, likes his block button, likes to throw messages at minors that are inappropriate, likes to yell at his audience and scream at his audience for not watching his videos.
Oh, that's that thing you shared on Twitter earlier.
Yeah. He is he's everything that like turns me off on a content creator. You know, the weird, inappropriate comments to minors, the saying that, hey, I've got 4,000 subscribers and only 50 people watch my video. I'm leaving the internet and it's your fault. And then sadly doesn't leave the internet. And so we're going to roast him a little bit. Anonymously, of course. We're going to roast him a little bit, have some fun in that. Retro Complex put out a great video response to that was really fucking funny. I laughed my ass off.
I've got to catch up on my subscriber feed.
Yeah,
because I don't know if I've seen that video of Retro Complexes yet.
Well, this is on Twitter. I don't think it's like an actual full-fledged video. It's just
it's
just a quickie response of him like reading the thing that I posted and just laughing his fucking ass off at the claims in there.
Right.
But basically, the TLDR, I can say that the TLDR is content creator whines at his audience, threatens to leave internet, sadly doesn't. That's the TLDR.
Yeah, it happens. And
then Cold Knights says, hey, Retro. And then Retro Complex says Final Fantasy VI is a great good. That is a great way to describe that game. And then Retro says my least favorite would be Final Fantasy 2. LOL. I hate the leveling system. Everybody fucking hates that game. Is that that's the Final Fantasy game where you have to beat the shit out of your own party members in order to raise their health.
Oof.
Like, that one is. God, that game's terrible. That game's terrible. I think it was Crimson Rosso just put out a Final Fantasy 2 review a while back, and he fucking hated that game. And I just laughed. Like, the moment he talked and said he was going to cover Final Fantasy 2, like an old school gamer like me just fucking chuckles. Because I'm just like, oh, shit, I remember that one. That game is not good. It does have a good villain. I think the Emperor is a good villain. Actually. But, yeah, there's not much more to recommend aside from that. Now, the villain is cool. The Emperor is a guy you defeat and you kill him, right? And then this guy literally gets sent to hell, takes over hell from the devil, and then uses hell to invade and come back and attack the world again. Like, that is, I don't care how bad the game is. Like, Retro, you can vouch for this. Like, that is some aspirational levels of villainy and willpower there.
That's pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. That is really cool.
Yeah, fucking get sent to hell, dethrone the devil, and come back. Like, as the Emperor of Hell now.
Oh my god, that is okay. I'm gonna check this out when I can.
Chad level villain, absolute Chad level villain. Like that is a Giga Chad level villain for sure.
Oh my god.
There is nothing else of merit in that game though. Nothing else. Like just the Emperor.
That is so funny. That is really funny.
So Chrono Trigger is a tight 20 hours. Yeah, Chrono Trigger is even better than in terms of its respecting your time. I think Chrono Trigger is one of the best ever. Like Chrono Trigger is a nice tight 20 hours. Now, have you had an opportunity to play Chrono Trigger?
No,
Okay,
no.
there's another one. So so 2 RPGs from that time period. I'll add a third one. So in the 16-bit era, if you can play Chrono Trigger, Terranigma, and Final Fantasy VI, you're doing good.
Yes, okay.
You've
All
kind
right.
of hit every button from that era.
I will definitely keep a note of that and do what I can to play those games when the time permits.
100%. And all three are pretty respectful of your time.
Yeah.
Terranigma, for what it's worth, is a action RPG that rivals Zelda: A Link to the Past, literally. I've gone back and forth.
Oh.
There's a part of me that likes it better than A Link to the Past. That's how good that game is.
Oh, wow.
Very good. Very, very good game. If you're interested, I think on the old SNES Hub website, playingwithsuperpower.com, I used to write Super Nintendo reviews. I think I wrote a Terranigma review there. So if you're interested, check it out. It's a quick read, and it'll kind of give you the skinny on the game without any spoilers. None of my shits ever has spoilers.
Okay, yeah. If you want, you can always send me the link, and I can check it out from there.
100%.
Cool.
So Retro Complex says Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross are great. Wish they would not have canceled the third game. Yeah. So here's the thing. I still need to play Chrono Cross. I haven't played Chrono Cross yet. It hasn't stopped me from absorbing every ounce of that soundtrack, though. That soundtrack is so fucking good, guys.
I do like a good soundtrack.
Oh gosh, have you heard Chrono Cross's soundtrack?
Unfortunately, not again.
Ooh.
It's one of those RPGs I haven't played.
Nope, that's okay. Bear with me real quick. When we get off of here, before you go, when we go on live, I'll play a couple of songs from Chrono Trigger's, Chrono Cross's soundtrack. Soundtrack alone is worth a listen. If you've never played the game, the soundtrack alone. Now, I've heard mixed things about Chrono Cross. Heard a lot of mixed things about it. One thing you can't. It's another one of those things where the soundtrack might be one of the greatest soundtracks on anything ever, and it honestly might be my favorite gaming soundtrack.
Wow.
And Tenebrae, yeah, that's literally the point. I'm glad you commented that. That's the point I've been making for a long time. Is yeah, they're not optimizing the games anymore because now the system allows them to put out these huge unoptimized pieces of shit. That's exactly what's happening. There's no excuse for the Metal Gear Solid collection that can fit on a fucking Vita card. And now all of a sudden it's like 40 gigabytes, including MSX games that are like a gigabyte a piece for the MSX games. Like that's all emulation spaghetti code. That's all that is. That's you guys not wanting to work hard. That's fucking Konami being Konami, because as Jim Stephanie Sterling says, Konami is the fucking worst. Fuck Konami News.
Yeah. They've had some amazing IP over the years, but holy shit, are they terrible at being a business?
Being a business, and in a just world, their IPs would be seized and handed to Capcom. Like seriously. And I'm not one for seizing things like that, but Konami has literally committed crimes against gaming. Like we need a video game court to seize their IPs and hand them over to other more worthy developers. Because I can't fucking sit and watch what they're gonna do to Silent Hill. I can't fucking watch it. I can't do it. Like they're about to commit like absolute like fucking crimes against gaming, and they're about to do it on Silent Hill 2. That game is going to be terrible. That game is going to be fucking terrible. You heard it here first. Like putting Bloober Team
So
on
unfortunate.
a game that is that psychologically. Oh, what are you? Oh my God! I not even gonna get started, but it's gonna be real bad. It's gonna be real bad. How about Silent Hill? Have you got a chance to play any of the Silent Hill games?
No, I'm not really much of a horror guy. I've been a bit of a pansy over the years, but I did. I think it was like maybe 10 years ago. One of my friends, he actually got. I think it was Silent Hill 2 on the PlayStation 2, right? Is that right?
That's the one.
PS2?
Yeah, that's the one I played as PS. Yeah, I got it for Xbox. Actually, is what I ended up getting it for.
Okay.
And
Right.
yeah, it's good. It's really good. That was Jay from Cold Nights. It's like, you got to play this, man. And so I finally did,
Yeah.
and I am very impressed with it.
Nice.
100%. But I tell you what, I'm not going to be impressed with. Whatever the hell Bloober Team decides to do with that game is. Oh, Konami. Oh, Konami. So,
Oh dear.
so Rush Dog makes a good point. Nintendo is crazy efficient with their code. Switch first-party games have surprisingly small file sizes. Yeah, Nintendo optimizes the fuck out of their games. They always have. Like Nintendo is
Yeah.
just that old school company, man. Sometimes they can be frustrating, but there's times where it just becomes so sweet because of the way they operate. And I think that kind of explains why you and I are such Nintendo fans. Like, because you said you've been basically a lifelong Nintendo fan too, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
See, and that pisses me off because it's only recently that Nintendo has been really localizing a ton of stuff. Like, they did a
Yeah.
terrible job in the early years of localizing. So you came along in the N64,
Mm.
so it was getting a little better back then. But I've got a
Mm.
friend in Australia who remembers like the NES and SNES days, and they didn't get shit over there. And it's just like, man. Now, part of that is due to like
Yeah.
the localization effort. But the point is, like, a vast majority of Australia speaks English. If you have an English localization, it's nothing to put it on a PAL card to get it to fucking Australia and Europe. There's nothing. Europe in particular, and Australia to a smaller extent, has always been kind of a treated like a redheaded stepchild, if you will, of Nintendo. Like, they're
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And with a lot of game companies, but Nintendo in particular really treated Europe like shit. And then they scratched their heads and they're like, why is Europe a PlayStation citadel now? Gee. Why were they a
Gee, I
Sega
wonder
citadel?
why.
Gee, maybe it's because you don't ship any fucking games over there.
Yeah.
So, Tenebrae says, oh man, Dragon's Dogma microtransactions are terrible. Yeah. And again, I blame Bethesda, which made one of my favorite games of all time for this, the horse armor. The moment you fuckers bought the horse armor, that was the end of it. That was over. It was going to go that route. Like, I can't blame me for that. I wasn't part of that generation largely. So, can't blame me. Now, Rush Dog says Capcom is fishing for some Dragon's Dogma whales. Yeah. And again, I think Rush Dog, I think we've talked about this, where as the economy worsens and as the money gets stratified more and more in the upper echelons, in the upper percentage of consumers, you start to see that happen where, my vision for gaming is to try to get as many customers as possible. But I can definitely see it from the perspective of the corporation when you look in what's about to become an economic depression, and nobody's going to have any fucking money. And so what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, we're not going to go after these broke people. They don't have any money. Instead, we're going to make more and more expensive experiences that caters to the most wealthy people. And that's what they're going to do. And it sucks. And it really sucks. But I can see that happening, especially out of this greedy ass industry. If we do happen to go full recession or full depression, I can see that happening. How's Australia doing economically? Are you starting to feel any shocks over there yet?
Yeah, we're doing pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad.
I figured as
Everything's
such.
really expensive over here. Like I don't know, like I know the UK is pretty bad for being expensive, but yeah, like we're not really any better. Like I don't know, like just some really basic needs have, I swear, almost doubled within the past 10 years. And it's especially gone up within the past 3 to 5 years after obvious reasons and lockdowns. And I don't know, man, it just really sucks. Like, just anything, any general supply you need from the supermarket. Um, it's just everything's jacked up, and
Yeah.
it just makes you go, oh, I guess I can't get all of this in the one shopping trip, and you have to make sacrifices. You just have to be like, yeah, we can't buy this, we can't buy that,
It,
and you have to just get the absolute bare necessities and be like, there goes your paycheck.
it boggles my fucking mind anymore how expensive some of this stuff is getting. Like I
Yeah,
actually did an audit because I was talking to Emily from Orbalology, and we were talking a little bit about how much DoorDash costs, and she challenged me to do
yeah.
an audit. Well, I did the audit, and guess what? It actually is cheaper to order from DoorDash once per day and just keep your essentials for like cooking a quick meal than it is to get all the groceries necessary to cook good dishes. And when I
Huh.
found
No
that
wonder
out,
why everybody does DoorDash and Uber Eats.
my mind was fucking blown when I found that out, dude. Like I
That's
couldn't,
crazy.
because for what it's worth, like, and keep in mind, I do have the membership for DoorDash or whatever. But even
Mm,
barring that, even if I had to pay the daily fee, it's not going to be much more expensive. Like it's like, wow,
mm,
we've just gotten to that point where, yeah, like milk, eggs, like even your basic staples, even rice is starting to get hit now. Even your rice and your
mm,
breads and your grains and all the shit that's
mm,
bad for you, that's usually cheap and subsidized, even that's going up.
mm.
And so I figured if it's hitting us here in the States, I figured it'd be hitting internationally even harder. It usually
Oh, it
goes like
definitely
that.
is.
Yeah, because
Definitely.
basically the imperial core always feels kind of the shock effects worse. Like they
Mm,
always feel them at the end what everybody else is feeling early on. So I know I've
mm.
got friends in Japan. They say things are doing pretty rough there. You're reporting from Australia, things are pretty rough. So yeah, macroeconomic headwinds are really not good right now, guys. So buckle down. It's gonna be a ride.
Mm.
It's gonna be a wild ride, guys.
Yeah, we'll be here for a while.
Oh yeah, I ain't going anywhere. Not till I'm made to. So, double A games are doing better. Look at Helldivers 2. Yeah, did you see where they're $1 billion company now? Like they went public and they're $1 billion company now. What's the name of that studio?
Wow.
Yeah, no, I did a thing on that. Let's see. Arrowhead Studios, yeah. Yeah, the games they made before Magica Gauntlet, Helldivers, and Helldivers 2. Yeah, they're doing fantastic, man. So it just goes to show you that yeah, you and indie companies are doing better. Yeah, indie companies are definitely disrupting the AAA studios. Everybody talks about like did everybody hear the news that just launched this morning? I guess Resident Evil might go open world. And I called that because I said every game that can is going to go open world if it's AAA, because open world is the
Mm,
only thing that indie studios can't reliably do because of the
mm,
cost prohibitiveness of it. So the open world kind of becomes the moat that AAA studios are using to protect themselves from indie companies. Because if
mm,
they had to compete on a level playing field with indie companies, I got news for you. A lot of them are going to lose. Even in the
mm.
RPG world, look at games like Sea of Stars, or Chained Echoes. Look like RPG games that are now doing it arguably better. Look at a game like Unicorn Overlord, which is a AA game that is right now in Japan outperforming Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the AAA game.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's out of stock in Japan too.
Oh yeah, Unicorn Overlord. I told everybody that's the game. That's the game of the forever. So not game of the year. That's the game of the forever. I kind of have joked
Mm.
that when Unicorn Overlord comes out, I'm going to send all my physical games to the landfill, and I'm going to deactivate my GOG account because I won't need any other games. Now that's a joke, of course, but that's just to
Okay.
show you how fucking hyped I was for that game, man. I was super hyped.
Did you get the collector's edition?
I thought about it, and I'll tell you why. I usually don't get collector's editions. I'm usually pretty Spartan with the games I buy.
Mm.
In terms of because I've got so many I gotta buy, so I just get the regular editions usually. I don't splurge. But with
Yeah.
that one, it had the card game, and so my thinking, I'm like, hey, even if the power goes out, I can still play Unicorn Overlord. That's kind of what I.
Exactly.
So because of that, I almost took the plunge on getting the collector's edition because of the card game. Yep, almost
Oh,
did.
but you didn't?
I didn't. Yeah.
Ah,
No,
damn.
I didn't. Old habits die hard. Old habits die never. And so I ended up
Yeah.
getting the and then he says indie, correct your spelling. Hey, yep, absolutely indie games. Well, we got what you meant. 100% chill. Mike Clark says, meanwhile, Princess Peach has no microtransactions and 0 crashes. How's everybody liking Super Princess Peach? It's on the list for me, but God knows when I'll
Same.
get to it. Yeah, God knows when I'll get to it. But I'll tell you,
I know that feeling.
Super Princess Peach looks interesting to me because it gives Princess Peach a gameplay identity. So I think gameplay identity is important. You've got Mario, and of course that's the platforming. Captain Toad is more like that Mario 2-esque throwing vegetables, can't really jump that high. More of a kind of puzzle walking your way through a scenario. Even fucking Toad got a gameplay identity before Peach. Then you have Luigi's, which Luigi's
Mm.
Mansion, kind of the spooky investigation game. And now Princess Peach has an actual gameplay identity. And I guess my question to you, Nimbus, is what do you suppose took Nintendo so long to do that?
Well, I guess like her first game was Super Princess Peach on the Nintendo DS.
I heard
But
about
like that's
that.
not but like that game was a mixed bag, and I wouldn't really rely on that as like a Peach game and like Peach's identity. I definitely think that Princess Peach Showtime is more what Nintendo is trying to market as a Peach identity game.
Yeah.
And especially like with her design in the game, because a lot of people are making parallels that she almost looks like she's inspired from the movie version of Peach. And you can sort of see that in the promotional art. She kind of does look a little bit like the Mario Brothers movie Peach.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh, that was
yeah,
deliberate.
I
That
don't
was
know. Like,
absolutely
so,
deliberate.
hey,
Yeah, they definitely wanted to do that to help boost from the movie because the movie was so popular.
oh yeah, definitely. See, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I haven't played. Obviously, the game just came out. Like you,
Right? Yeah.
it's sort of it's in the backlog. But um, I've really enjoyed like the gameplay trailers I've seen of the game, and I think I'm definitely going to like it. But I am curious about if it's something, depending on how successful it is. I wonder if it is something that Nintendo might want to push for Princess Peach as like again like her own sort of sub game series. Because like you said, we got Luigi's Mansion, Captain Toad for Toad. So what's it going to be for Peach? Is she going to have something long running? Like, are we going to get like a sub series like the Showtime series, and there'll be like Peach's games? It's obviously going to depend on how well will this game do? Will the reception be taken favorably? I don't know. I think it's going to be a wait and see thing, really.
Yeah, it's really going to, like you said, going to depend on the sales. I do predict that the game's going to do well, though.
I think so.
I think people will buy it. I think people are. It seems like literally like if you no matter what community I go to, it seems like people are really pumped for that game, and so it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see. I'm excited to play it. Um, I freely admit that I am super pumped to play Super Princess Peach, and I think it might have the potential to be Nintendo's big game for the year because God, doesn't seem like they have much else shit on the shelf. They got the diving game coming out, and that's
Yeah.
about it. So
Yeah, and a couple of remasters and remakes.
Yeah, I'm told that I must devote immediate attention, just like I did Metroid Prime. I am told by a lot of the communities I'm in that I must devote immediate attention to Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door when it comes out.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Okay, so you would echo that, okay? So tell me a little bit about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, and apparently this game is better than Mario RPG. That's what I'm told, which is pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, I can't personally vouch for that specific statement because I still haven't played my copy of Mario RPG.
Right.
But what I can tell you is that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, out of all the Paper Mario games, it is definitely the pinnacle of what Paper Mario perfection should be.
Oh, nice.
Now, yeah, because you know, what was it? The original Paper Mario. It was sort of, it's like it's a spiritual successor to Mario RPG because in Japan it was called Mario Story. So they
Oh,
were trying to continue the RPG element from Mario RPG, and obviously through development they came up with Paper Mario, like at least naming that in the West and giving it that 2D paper art style. And yeah, that's sort of why it was called Paper Mario, because all the characters are flat, and it was mainly due to that reason. It was like a
okay.
storybook, and I love the original Paper Mario. Like that game is magic. Like it to me, it's literal magic. And maybe because like I played it as a kid, that's why it felt magical. But man, even like when I replayed that, like back during all the lockdowns, that game was still magic to me. And then obviously when Thousand Year Door came out on the GameCube, it was just like a bigger, better, more daring Paper Mario game that maintained its RPG roots and just made it so much better. Like everything in that game is just so fluid. It feels so good. It's so crisp. um, yeah, and like then I know like after Thousand Year Door, they started getting experimental with the series. Now, there's some people who hated Super Paper Mario on the Wii. I actually really liked it
I did
because
too. I did too.
they, yeah, because the story. I love the story in Super Paper Mario. Oh my god, that is amazing. So I still love Super Paper Mario, like at least for the story alone. And then when Sticker Star came out, that's when we knew that it was basically the apocalypse.
Yeah,
But
I don't hear fond things about Sticker Star, and I definitely don't hear fond things about Color Splash.
oh, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one's worse, but those two games especially, absolutely. I mean, look, it's all subjective at the end of the day, but if you want to call them a Paper Mario game, you can. But to me, Paper Mario will always be an RPG with original character designs, fantastic stories, great witty humor, and just something that is just absolute magic. It's just literal magic. That's what a Paper Mario game is to me.
Well, you're getting me excited. You're getting me
And
very
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I hope you like it.
yeah, well, we'll see. I'm known to be a little bit of a picky Pete with games at times, but I think what we're bumping up to here with what we were talking about with Paper Mario is death of the author. Are you familiar with the concept of death of the author?
I have heard of I've heard of that concept before, but you're gonna have to elaborate a little bit more
Yeah.
on it.
So, long story short, the moment you release something out into the wild, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to everybody. It
Mm,
belongs to the fans. In particular, it belongs to the people with the money who are paying for it.
mm,
So you don't
mm,
get to decide what Mario is, Nintendo. I do. You don't get to decide
mm,
what Zelda is, Nintendo. I do. You don't get to decide what Paper Mario is, Nintendo. I do. Because I'm the one with
mm,
the money. And in the battle between the people with their hand out and the people with the money man wins every time. So I think what happened
mm,
with Paper Mario is I think they got tired of bleeding their ass on sales, And so they decided to go back to the well. And I think Thousand Year Door, the re-release, is going to prove to them, just like Breath of the Wild did, and just like New Super Mario Brothers Wii did. I think Nintendo is about, like, be aware that Nintendo was actually shocked at the sales of New Super Mario Brothers Wii when it came out. They were floored. They were absolutely shocked. They did not expect that game to sell what it sold. My understanding is that there was similar surprise at Breath of the Wild. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, motherfuckers, I wasn't surprised. If you had listened to what
I wasn't surprised.
if you'd been listening to what I've been trying to tell you, assholes, since the fucking N64 era, you wouldn't have been surprised either. And I just feel like Nintendo, they have a great blessing and a great curse. The blessing is that they're a very creative company, and their curse is that they're a very creative company. So, but do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's almost like, I don't know, because like creativity, it can bring out the most ambitious and unexpected masterpieces, but then at the same time, maybe you can be a little bit too over creative and things kind of lose their way in order, and there's like a sense of chaos from that creativity.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with a preconceived notion from a fan base that has expectations on what that sequel is going to be.
Exactly.
So, that's what I've been trying to tell people. Like, you came in on the 64, so to you, 3D Mario is probably the way it's always been, right? Like, you play 3D Mario, you love 3D Mario, and it's like, yeah, this is Mario. But to old hat gamers like me, like, I played Mario 64, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This isn't Mario. It's fun, but
yeah,
this is this is interesting. Can't wait for them to make a real 2D Mario game for the N64. And then it never happens. Or, hey, what the fuck is this? This isn't Zelda. Can't wait for them to make an actual Zelda game on the N64.
Yeah.
And I feel like Paper Mario fans have had that same thing, where they're just like, game after game after game, they're like, Nintendo, what the fuck? This isn't Paper Mario. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, guys?
Definitely. That's exactly what's happened with that series.
Yeah. And so hopefully we get back on track when Paper Mario, the 1,000 Year Door, sells 10 million copies or whatever. And they're shocked and surprised.
Right. I hope so. I really hope it sells close to 10 mil.
I don't. Yeah,
I'm
throwing that out, but that's the reason I'm throwing that out. Not a prediction, guys. That's not an actual analysis. I'm just saying I hope it happens, because that would send the message. Here's what it has to do. It has to outsell the Origami King, and I think that's very doable.
Do you know how much Origami King sold?
Let me look it up real quick.
I am curious. Very curious.
Origami King sales. So 3.12 million copies, okay?
Oh, we have to beat that, surely.
Or no, sorry. Most updated is 3.47 million copies, okay?
Okay.
Now let me do
so about 3.5 mil.
Well, we're gonna do a little bit of a macroeconomics analysis here. Paper Mario series sales. So we want, there it is. Paper Mario for series. Okay, there it is. All right. So Paper Mario sold 1.37. Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door 1.91 million. Super Paper Mario sold 4.23 million, but that's the Switch effect. Then you've got Paper Mario Sticker Star 2.49 million. And then Origami King is 3.47 million. Now, what can we take from that data? I guess I would ask you, Nimbus. So, in Paper Mario came out in when did Paper Mario come out? Release year. Release date.
It's like 2000 or 2001?
Yep, 2000 is exactly
2000.
So Paper Mario came out in the year 2000. Okay. So Paper Mario sold 1.37 million in the year 2000. Now, people will say, Zoo, Sticker Star outsold that original Paper Mario. When did Sticker Star come out?
2012 Sticker Star came out.
2012. So that's 12 years of population growth there, right? So you got to keep that into account. There's more people on the planet. Therefore, it would be really fucking stupid if that game didn't sell more to a certain percentage. Now, I'm not going to do the full breakdown on stream because that'll bore guys, but it'd be worth doing the population crunch, seeing what the population was in the year 2000, seeing what the population was in 2012, and then adjusting for that population increase and seeing if that game actually outsold Paper Mario. I'm going to guess, just looking at that spread, that the answer to that is probably not. So it seems to me like a franchise that is stagnant. Certainly now in 2023, 3 million copies. That's a stagnant fucking franchise. So basically what I would like to see is I would like to see 5 million out of the 1,000-year door. That's what I would like to see. I think if you can get to 5 million, that sends the message, and then it's undeniable. It's do what like a Luigi's Mansion 3 did, or like a Pikmin 4, or like a Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and just undeniably, no matter what macroeconomics you throw at it, the goal is that should beat it, is kind of the goal there.
Yeah, because obviously, like, this remake is in response to the feedback that they've obviously noticed over the many years now. Because I remember, I think it was I don't watch them anymore because they're not the same guys, but I used to watch Game Explain when they had sort of like the older cast on there. They had what was it, like Derek and Ash and the other guys.
The Game Explain, Nintendo Explain used to be a really good channel.
Yeah, I really like them. Like going back to like 2014 days, and they're like talking about Smash Brothers speculation for the Wii U. Like that was fun. It was really fun. And I like them together, but like obviously, like I know what's happened with Andre and all that, and yeah. Anyway, but that's a different story. But where was I going with Game Explain? Jesus, I'm so sorry. I had a thought in my head. I can't remember. I think when it was Color Splash. So they had the opportunity to talk to the lead developer of Color Splash, and I think they just sort of asked, would they be open to like possibly returning to the RPG formula? And they're like, we're sort of focusing on, trying something new and, really focusing like deliberately on the whole paper mechanics and that's why they're doing like paints and, origami and stickers. Like they're taking Paper Mario and just literally making a game about like arts and crafts. Because that's what Paper Mario is.
I've heard mixed. I've heard mixed things. I've heard nothing good about Color Splash, but I've heard mixed things about Origami King. I have heard there's my brother-in-law loves Origami King. I think some people in our community have expressed that Origami King's fun. But again, it's not that gameplay identity that people were really asking for, which is that actual hardcore RPG, basically, like with the actual RPG turn-based mechanics. I think that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And sorry, you go.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Right now, it looks like a franchise to me that's kind of dead in the water without doing the full breakdown. Maybe a slight increase macroeconomically, but probably nowhere near the growth. Nowhere near the growth of like a Pikmin or a Luigi's Mansion. Pikmin fucking floored me, man.
I was surprised Pikmin 4 sold as well as it did.
Oh yeah, Pikmin. Me too, because I've shit on Pikmin for years, man. And lo and behold, Pikmin 4 might be one of the best fucking might be one of my best games of the year for 2023. Honestly, I actually like Pikmin 4 better than I like Tears of the Kingdom. I think, like, no shit. Like, solid game, solid fucking game. So Chill Collect says, I'm waiting on my physical copy of Sea of Stars. Says it plays similar to Chrono Trigger. No. From what I played of it, it plays similar, but nothing is going to be anywhere in the ballpark even in the stadium with Chrono Trigger. So it's good. It's really good, but it ain't no Chrono Trigger. But yeah, if you like Chrono Trigger's gameplay, yeah, it's gonna be kind of similar. And then spoiler, you're gonna love Terra Enigma. Rush Dog says, and yeah, UpperNimbus, you should play that ASAP.
Yeah, I've definitely heard good things about Terra Enigma.
Terra Enigma's amazing.
Is that the one that is like? I hope this isn't a spoiler, so spoiler warning. But is that the one that's like you're like globetrotting around Earth, or
Yes.
like a post-apocalyptic Earth?
Yes and yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
I'm very keen for that shit because there may be another franchise that deals with stuff like that, and that is definitely spoiler territory.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. It's very thought provoking. Like all of those Quintet games, like the Quintet, like Quadrilogy, is like really, really good. ActRaiser.
Okay, I would be all over that.
ActRaiser, Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and Terra Enigma. You should play all four. And every game deals with the death and revival of the world, essentially.
Amazing. Perfect. I think. Hang on. Sorry, I was just going to say. I think I essentially have Illusion of Gaia because I think it was called Illusion of Time here, like in Power Regions. I think. And yes, I physically have Illusion of Time on the SNES.
It's amazing
in my collection.
You should move that one up. It's really good.
I really should. I've been meaning to.
That game gets dark too, homie. That game gets dark. I can't wait to talk to you about it.
Nice.
Yeah, it deals with again, no spoilers, but it deals with some interesting material for sure.
Ooh.
Crusader of Sinti, Jay says, yes, over on the competition was incredible too. I love Crusader of Sinti. It's like a Zelda game where you can basically like talk to and control animals to help you out at times. It's really cool. Yeah, Crusader of Sinti is a great Link to the Past clone. And then Tenebrae says, I've only heard covers of Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross soundtracks. Yeah, they're great. Chrono Cross, honest to God, might be my favorite game soundtrack. And then Rush Dog says Chrono Cross is a fantastic game so long as you go into it with the right expectations. I don't expect Chrono Trigger to. Yeah, no, well, yeah, good luck with that. Like that would never. And then Rush Dog says Jay is correct. Sinti is a banger. Yeah, now if you can only find it for a decent price, although I think one of the SNES Genesis minis has Crusader of Sinti on it. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rush, but that's probably the cheapest way to get Crusader of Sinti because it is stupid expensive nowadays. And then, oh my God, Mike Clark, man, Sinti and then Newtopia 2 on the TurboGrafx 16 are massively underrated action. Yes, Newtopia 2. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Like TurboGrafx 16 is literally like like if the Super Nintendo is the endless ocean of quality, and the Sega Genesis is the jungle of hidden gems, then TurboGrafx 16 is like literally an unexplored planet. There are so many JRPGs on the TurboGrafx 16 that are just completely unexplored territory. A lot of them don't even have translations.
Damn.
Like, I would love for somebody to do like a channel devoted to exploring the TurboGrafx 16. I'm sure there is one. If anybody has any channel recommendations, put them in because that's somebody I want to talk to. Because that's a system that's fascinated me for a while, Mike. And then Rush Dog says Konami is also remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 without Kojima. Yay. Yay.
Oof.
Yay. Seize Konami's properties and hand them and divvy them out to more deserving developers. I'm not kidding. Fuck Konami.
Yeah, I'm with you there on that.
For me, Kojima peaked at Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah, apparently that's the only game I'm going to get to play, Mike, on the Switch, because apparently the Japanese cartridge does have Metal Gear Solid 1 on it, according to Nintendo Revised. So I'm going to get that cart, and we're going to see about that. But I'm actually kind of excited. Can you share your math on the Uber Eats cost versus groceries and cooking? That's very interesting. Yeah, I'll shoot that to you in a on Twitter Rush. Yeah, I'll get that shot over to you because yeah, it with if you have the membership, it basically evens out. Without the membership, I found that it's like slightly more expensive, but not by much. I was floored. I was shocked. Now, keep in mind, there's some caveats to that. That's one meal a day. That's one DoorDash a day. If you put a second DoorDash, now you're over what you would do if you bought groceries for a week. So there are days where I did two. That completely skews it in the other direction. But if you're only door dashing once per day, and then you just get your basic staples for like cooking eggs or rice, and you just door dash your dinner, yeah, it completely evens out as how that worked. World Economic Forum wants to make it illegal to grow your own crops. No shit. Wow.
Jeez.
Well, how about no? I'm sorry that I take great umbrage to that. If I'll have to look into that because that sounds honestly too on the nose. 90s. Like when I hear something like that, immediately it's like no shit. Like really? Because here's the thing: like my dad grows the most delicious tomatoes in the world, and if you're telling, if some bureaucrat is going to tell me that I can't eat those tomatoes, and I have to go to the store and buy those shitty greenhouse grown tomatoes, I'm gonna tell that bureaucrat to go fuck himself, and I'm gonna grow them anyway. That's the joy of being an anarchical thinker. 90s is anarchy is there's all kinds of misconceptions about what anarchy means. At the end of the day, anarchy is living as if you're free and daring anybody to stop you. Now, granted, you want to do that within a moral framework, so you don't want to be an anarchistic ruffian going around and doing crime and fucking around with other people. But if I'm minding my own business and I'm doing my thing and I am not hurting anybody else, because again, your freedom ends where someone else's nose begins. Got to be mindful of that. There is nothing anybody should be telling me. And if they try to tell me with a law or a bureaucrat, I'm going to be like, nope, nope. I'm going to do citizen invalidation of that law, and I'm going to go ahead and do what I do anyway. And odds are the police are completely under staffed right now. Odds are the bureaucrats are completely overwhelmed with paperwork, and odds are I'm going to get away with it 9 times out of 10. I'm going to get away with whatever the fuck I want to do. So I'm just going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to dare you to stop me. And nine times out of 10, you won't. That's what it's like to actually live in anarchist philosophy. So I don't know. What do you think, Nimbus?
It's so funny because like I've actually got a personal friend who thinks very like similarly to you with ideals like that. And yeah, I was thinking, oh man, you guys would get along.
Yeah, it's just in general. It's and again, it's different from we're kind of the outcasts in American philosophical thought, because American philosophical thought is stupid, quite frankly. And it's embroiled in a lot of shit that just doesn't matter. And they get off into a million different weed pads, and it's just very simple to me. It's just, hey, so you say that I have to, that I can't collect I can't collect rainwater on Sunday. Not that I want to. This is an example, guys. I don't actually give a shit about collecting rainwater, but it's like, you say I can't do that. Well, I'm a rainwater aficionado, and I'm just going to do it anyway. And good luck busting that. I don't know how that's enforceable. I don't know in what way that would be enforceable. I don't know if there's even a way to fucking catch that without a neighbor narking on you, and I get along great with my neighbors. So I'm just going to go ahead and collect my
Yeah.
rainwater anyway, and you can go fuck yourself. Like,
Yeah.
that's basically what it is. Like, oh, I can't have chickens, so guess what? I'm going to have chickens anyway. Because, and you can, and if you have a problem with it, you can use the force of your guns, and you can come and you can write me a ticket. But guess what? You're not going to do that because you're going to be busy with all the other crimes you're not solving. I think property, I think I saw a statistic that, at least in the States, the clearance rate for property damage crimes is like 10%. Like they're busy. They're really busy. And if you were to a point where you are so not busy that you can come and write me a ticket for growing tomatoes, then we got bigger problems than anything else I can think of. And I just don't see it. So I mean, I feel you 90s if that's true. I understand, but as a Telvanni in Morrowind terms, or as an anarchist in our real world terms, I don't really care what kind of laws they want to write because I'm going to grow my tomatoes anyway. My tomatoes aren't hurting anybody. Like, in fact, a lot of my tomatoes feed other people because I don't know what you know about tomato plants or grow about crops. You grow peppers and things like that. You grow a lot of them, more than 2 or 3 people can eat. And so a lot of those end up going to food banks, and a lot of those end up going to homeless shelters. And so I think people growing food is a net positive. I think a lot of neighborhoods, particularly here in the United States, are food deserts. And I think edible landscaping and I think growing food is a net positive for people because you're giving a lot of those excess vegetables away. And I think anybody, if that's true, and there are genuinely people passing laws saying you can't do that, to me that seems like an attack on the poor, and it seems like that's an attack on trying to prop up food scarcity in a time where there's a lot of food deserts. And I think that's pretty wicked, honestly. So my advice to people would be to citizen nullify any such laws. But again, that's up to each individual. That's up to every individual person. That just seems crazy to me. Almost too crazy to be true, but we live in strange times. So I will look into that 90s, and I will definitely get back to everybody with like a "Are you fucking shitting me?" Twitter post if that's true. But I don't know. What do you think, Nimbus?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of unfortunate stuff like that is more than likely definitely happening.
Yikes.
And
Yikes.
yeah, and I don't know, man. It just honestly just sucks. It sucks like that higher ups are more concerned about more innocent matters that innocent people get in trouble for, and they're not actually dealing with real problems that are constantly happening. It's turning a blind eye to what's really going on,
Yeah,
and being concerned with the kid in the corner with Play-Doh. That's how I see it.
I'm gonna type. Let's see, FBI clearances. Yeah, I'm curious about something real quick. What crime has the highest clearance rate? So in 2022, murder and manslaughter charges had the highest crime clearance rate in the United States. Is everybody ready to be terrified?
Sure.
With 52.3% of all cases being cleared by arrest.
Oof.
That's the highest. Murder.
Jesus.
Motor vehicle theft cases had the lowest crime clearance rate at 9.3%. 1 in 10. Less than 1 in 10. So my advice would be to leave the tomatoes alone and go arrest some violent criminals. That would be my advice.
Yeah. Agree.
Maybe focus on doing your actual job and stay out of my garden.
Yep.
Crazy, man. What crazy. This is totally a video game. By the way, this is totally a video game podcast. All right. Anyway. So definitely saw that, and I'm glad. Don't even know what the hell you're talking. Chill, if you could put down below what specifically you're talking about, because we got really sidetracked on that. I just could. That just blew my mind as far as wanting to make it illegal to grow your own food. Like that just wow, that wowed me. So sorry about
Yeah.
that. I wanna know the context for the definitely saw that, and I'm glad. So please put that below if you're still here. So Rush Dog says, "Got to run. Fun stream as always. We'll watch the rest of the VOD later, and we'll subscribe to Nimbus. Yes, definitely subscribe to Upper
Oh
Nimbus.
wow, thank you.
He's good people, man."
Thank you for watching.
And then 90s Handheld Gamer says, "I was planning to play Princess Peach last night, but have been addicted to the Splatoon 3 Splatfest." Oh yeah, me and Rush got to play some more Splatoon. I've been meaning to play more. It just life gets busy, but I actually do like Splatoon 3 a lot. And I know, especially for me being a cranky old no live services game, but that game's fucking fun and it has a single player. So yeah, bite me. I stand by that game. Have you played any of the Splatoon, Nimbus? Has that been one you played?
So first time I played Splatoon was the original back on the Wii U. But I got motion sickness playing that game. I don't know if it's because I was like, because I had what was it called? I had the gyro controls on.
Oh yeah,
And
I do the same.
normally,
Yeah.
yeah. So normally, like, I haven't really had issues with gyro controls like in other games. But for whatever reason with Splatoon, like, I think from memory, whether I had the gyro controls on or not, because I definitely turned them off because I was like, oh, I'm really bad at aiming with it moving around automatically and stuff with the motion. So I was like, okay, I'll turn that off. And then even after I turned it off, I just felt really sick, like I was going to throw up. So I've just been avoiding Splatoon ever since then, just because I was like, nah, I'm like, I don't want to be sick.
Right. No, I get the same thing from VR games. Like VR
Oh,
really makes me nauseous.
oh my god, dude. Okay, I'll say that because I've experienced VR.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just got to say it
No,
while
you're
it's on my
good.
mind. So I think VR is cool. I do think it's a cool concept, and
Uh-huh.
I do like the immersion factor. It's cool. It's cool. But I'll tell you what, after I played it for about 15, 20 minutes at a friend's place a couple of years ago, because I think I think it was Half-Life Alex, and that was really cool. But I wanted to continue, and I wanted to keep exploring and playing that game. But man, I had to take off that headset. Like I felt like I was literally about to pass out, and my
Yeah.
head was overheating. Yeah, I couldn't stand it. I was just like, nah. I'm like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna be sick.
That's yeah.
So yeah, that's my story.
No, 100%. I kind of feel similar. I hear really good things about Half-Life Alex, but I can't. Yeah, it's about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm done. So man, I am done. So
Yeah. So you just like me then?
yeah, and apparently there's a certain segment of the population that has that, and it's a fairly sizable one. It's part of why VR will never take off. The other reason being that like your wife and girlfriend will be fucking ashamed of you whenever she brings people over and you're tuning the world out with that fucking headset on. Like it's just,
Yeah.
wives and girlfriends will take care of VR. Like that thing is never taken off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the women will take care of VR. They will say nope, because I can
Yeah.
assure you, that would never be tolerated in my household. Like
Yeah.
especially and now throw kids in the mix. Let's say you have kids. Yeah, you think your wife is going to tolerate you being stuck in your fucking spaceman headset while she has to deal with two screaming kids? No way, no way, man. Like no, she's gonna rip that fucking spaceman headset right off your head. Like I promise you.
100%. Absolutely. That would definitely
So
happen.
I don't know. All the tech bros that are pushing VR is like the next gaming direction. As fun as it can be, I don't see it for that reason more than even the sickness. Like I just don't see it.
Yeah. Like I don't mind VR being an option, but like imagine if the Switch 2 was VR centric. Imagine if like that
Oh, I
was the
have.
forced gimmick to play the games. Could you imagine that?
In fact, I have. In fact, I have a half prediction that that's what we're going to get, actually.
if it's optional, I don't mind. But if it's enforced, which I don't think Nintendo is going to do that with VR in particular. But if it was enforced with any future system, no matter who it was, PlayStation or whatever, if it became mandatory, no, I'm not touching it. I'm not going anywhere
Well,
near it.
Nintendo, well, you got to remember, Nintendo is an integrated hardware software company. They're an arcade roots company, just like Sega was.
Mm,
Okay. What
yeah.
that means is it's integrated hardware software. And Nintendo understands this, especially after learning from like the NES and SNES era, that it's called the peripheral
Mm,
conundrum. It's the peripheral conundrum, which is in order to attract games to your system, you have to have people that have the system. But if you
mm,
don't have people that are adopters of the peripheral, people won't make games for that peripheral. So it's a conundrum. Um, in order, so Nintendo won't anything Nintendo does with their next system will be mandatory, right? Not mandatory, but it will be a built-in functionality to the system, which means it will be part of the cost of the system. Okay. So if
mm,
they do VR, VR will be built into the integrated functionality of that system. Now,
mm,
I think what you've laid out is a reason why why Nintendo won't do that, because yeah, the market's not viable for that. If they do that, it will fail.
yeah, that's going to be a flop.
It 100% will be a flop. The reason why I feel like it is possible, minorly possible. Again, I'm not actively predicting that's going to happen. I'm just throwing out saying, hey, you think you're going to get a Switch 2, which is what everybody's saying. Nintendo, the only thing I caution people is Nintendo is the king of giving you what you don't expect. Nintendo is the king of this.
Oh
Nintendo
yeah.
and Nintendo understands that a follow-up, a direct iteration on the Switch is likely going to underperform the Switch. And so Nintendo has a habit of
Mm,
disrupting their own selves before another company can disrupt them. So putting out a Switch 2, keep in mind, if you put out a Switch 2, yeah, it's a proven concept, but at the same time, now you're starting to see competition like the Rogue Ally. You're starting to see Steam Deck start to iterate on their product, get better and better with each passing product. It's not special anymore, and Nintendo knows that.
mm,
So my speculation is that whatever Nintendo does next actually won't be a Switch 2 and will in fact be this new doodad. And one of the things that Miyamoto and Nintendo have been obsessed with since the Virtual Boy is 3D and VR. That's something
mm,
Nintendo has been absolutely obsessed with this entire time. Now, I would argue that if
mm,
anybody can crack VR, really crack VR, it would be Nintendo. But I just don't feel
mm,
like it's the good move. I actually feel like with the macroeconomics contracting, the ideal move is to just stay with the Switch, honest to fucking God.
mm,
And if you have to have a new system, and I think they feel like they do, to just do a Switch 2. Just do a backwards compatible Switch 2.
mm.
But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I've thought about, because there's always been a new gimmick with each Nintendo
Mm-hmm.
system in particular. And I know for like the past couple of weeks, and I know everyone in the Nintendo community is sick and tired of all the Switch 2 leaks and rumors. Like, they're not even necessarily leaks, like they're basically just rumors and speculation.
Well, you know what I
But
tell
one of
Prime every time he makes a video. That's another 3 days.
yep. I think you're saying that in your last, was
Yeah,
it with Emily? You're talking about that?
yeah. Basically, anytime RGT or Prime makes a video, I literally just leave a comment, and it's literally become a meme at this point. That's another 3 days.
Oh, that's funny. um, yeah, like I was gonna say, I know there was the whole thing of like was it the patents of like the switch attach, where it's essentially just like another screen that you can attach and then deattach from the
Yeah,
system.
I saw that,
Um,
and I was talking to OJ about that, and OJ kind of dismissed it.
yeah,
And the reason OJ dismissed it is he
yeah,
says that Nintendo patents all kinds of shit. And so a patent is not necessarily going to be what the new hardware is. It could be, he said,
yeah,
but don't take a patent as gospel if that's going to be the iteration.
yeah,
Because I guess he was bringing up that like before the Switch there was like 30 patents, and some of them were just silly ass. But
yeah,
they exist, and so if you were speculating based off the patents, 29 out of 30 people would have got it wrong, because of the 30, only one ended up being correct.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like Nintendo patents things all the time. Like I remember seeing even patents for like Tears of the Kingdom. I think there was a thing of, because I don't think it's in the game, where they were going to have aerial combat with like the bow and arrow, and Link was going to like fall upside down and be able to snipe upside down while falling. I don't think you can do that in Tears
Nope.
of the Kingdom. Like yeah, it's like even like that was an example of a patent for that game in particular. It didn't happen, but it was an idea they were thinking about, but they didn't go with it.
Right.
And yeah, like the same thing with like Nintendo hardware. Like you see all these things come out, and it's just like I remember one of the patents for the Switch, when it was still called the NX, was the controller was like a Pro controller, but they had a glass screen that you could like interact with, and you were playing the game on the screen that was the controller. So you were just looking at the controller itself, like it was the game system and like the screen,
I remember
and you could interact with it. But then yeah, and it had like a little like dude, like a little stick man, like running around. But like that's another example of a patent that just they thought of it but didn't go anywhere. And I'm gonna guess that this whole Switch attached thing with like the two screens is more than likely just it's a concept, but it's not necessarily what's going to happen, because if it was, then they've gone and revealed and leaked their own hardware.
Right.
So it's like, it's almost like, oh, well, they don't care if that patent goes out because that's not what the system's going to be.
Well, and keep in mind that patents are public, and Nintendo knows that. A lot of times they'll patent shit that they're not going to use just because they understand patents are public. And so there's all companies do that all the time. Companies fake patent shit that they don't even intend to utilize, just to one, get it on record in case it's an idea they do want to utilize in the future because of the competitive nature of the industry, and number two, to conceal the actual, because if they only patented the thing they were planning on using, they would literally spoil themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's very common to throw out fake patents to mask the real patent.
Yeah.
So
I do wonder what the gimmick is going to be, though. Like if they have one.
Me too. 100%. Yeah, and I do think there's going to be one. I think the Switch 2 peeps are going to ultimately be disappointed. I could be wrong on that, but keep in mind, I'm the guy that said 2025, and time converts more than reason, folks.
Yeah.
So, Peach is better than you would think. Mike Clark says it is a video game and it doesn't pretend to be anything else. That's all I ask for.
Fantastic.
A lot of games want to be movies. A lot of games want to be other shit. Sometimes a game that is just a video game is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yep, definitely.
Cold Knight says, have a nice day, Rush. And then Tenebrae says, gotta go. Fun discussions. Thanks for coming into the stream, Tenebrae. I hope to see you again.
Catch you later, Tenebrae.
Now, Cold Knight says, Origami King was a fun game. I found no issue with it. You seemed to like it when I streamed it. Yeah. Origami King gets kind of a mixed perception, but yeah, it looked interesting. And again, I can't say for sure until I actually play it. The same for any of these Paper Mario games. So full disclosure, when Zoo talks about the games, like I have disdain for the GameCube. It's pretty well known at this point. But keep in mind, unless I've actively played it myself, I would take anything I say about these games with a grain of salt, folks. 100%, because a lot of it's just shit talking. Also, Sticker Star being a handheld title definitely affected those sales. Yeah, 100%. That's one of those macroeconomic conditions we talk about. Is okay, handheld, console game. Handhelds tend to sell better than the consoles traditionally, or historically speaking. Definitely true. Then you got Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. Welcome in, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad.
Oh, Iowa, man.
Here to support Nimbus. Holy crap, this is early, LOL. Yeah, you're telling me, Iowa. And then Mike Clark says, oh, man, Pikmin is awesome. Then Brooke is, hello, why are you up so early? I'm talking to a chat from Australia. So, yeah, this is This is an early one. Welcome into the stream, Brooke. Glad you made it in because this is a
Early for you guys, late for me.
yep.
Best
So
way.
yeah, so he's drinking. He's liquored up, and I'm just live today. Laugh at your own jokes. Sometimes you have to.
You gonna do it.
Didn't know the Turbo had so many RPGs. Yes, always heard they had the best shoot 'em ups. They do. Yeah, best shoot 'em up system by a landslide, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. They also have a ton of RPGs, most of which have never been translated, have never left Japan. So, very interesting system. Kojima is supposedly working with on a stealth shooter with his new company. Anything. So here's the thing. Like, I think Kojima can at times be a little out of control and a little pretentious. But at the end of the day, I will always be interested in anything Kojima is working on because Kojima, to me, is a fundamentally interesting person. Do you know what I mean by that, Nimbus?
Yeah, he's a very deep and philosophical man.
So there's a game called that I played on a borrowed PlayStation Portable called Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, I think it's called, and Peace Walker. So here's the thing about that game. So I played that game, and you can always tell what Hideo Kojima is reading based on what he's putting in his games. He's one of those guys where you can always tell if what he's reading by what his output is. Kind of like me. I'm kind of similar in this respect. You can always tell what I'm reading by it kind of leaks into the game reviews at times. And in playing Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and Portable Ops, one of those games, I learned everything you could possibly learn about the Costa Rica Sandinistas that you could possibly learn. So it's obvious that he made that game while he was reading all kinds of history. Like, the man does his research, and the man's a reader. I can say that about Hideo Kojima. The man is a reader, and anybody who's a reader tends to produce interesting content that reflects what they're reading. Like, I think it was Metal Gear Solid 5. He was reading a book by Nicholas Osler called Empires of the Word. And so that literally has a whole thing, the concept of like language as a virus, like language as a controlling mechanism for empires. And that's literally like the core of the story while he was reading this book on the history of human language. Like, yeah, Kojima's he's an interesting fellow, man. So even if I don't think he's the best storyteller, even if I don't think he's the best writer, and even if I think he's overly long-winded and pretentious, he's interesting. He's like the Dos Equis guy of game development. So
he definitely is interesting.
Stay thirsty, my friends. So Mike Clark says the Turbo PC has many good games. Great place for early Falcom games, and quite a few have been translated. Doesn't get the retro love the Saturn is enjoying today, but wow, it has a fantastic library. Could talk Turbo all day long, LOL. Well, Mike, we're going to have you on to talk Turbo. So shoot me a message, or if you have a Discord handle. Mike, do you have a Discord? Put your Discord handle in the chat, or you can put it in a comment in this video, and we will we'll make it a date if you want to. You can come on and do Liquored Up Live where we can talk the Turbo graphics, because I feel like you can educate me quite a bit on that system. I'd love to have you. So. Chill Collect says that Helldivers 2 team are $1 billion company. Yep, exactly. Exactly, Chill. And then Mike Clark says, stay out of my garden, LOL. Yeah, go. Why don't you go bust some murderers and rapists with your 50% clearance rate and your 30% clearance rate for rape? What the fuck? Like, yeah, 100% stay out until you solve all the murders and rapes. Maybe stay out of my garden. VR is hit or miss with me. I can play games like Beat Saber. Yeah, Beat Saber's fun. Beat Saber is a lot of fun, but again, it's one of those where you feel sick afterwards. That's the one I was playing, by the way. That's the one. But when I tried to play the Walking Dead game, I was on a boat and waves. I got hot and sweaty and had to quit. Yeah,
Oh god,
VR does weird things to your head. Like it just does. Then
it really does.
Iowa Retro Gamer Dances. I don't think Nintendo can handle VR. They tried with the Labo thing, and that was a mess. Yeah, they have a history of disasters with VR. The Virtual Boy too. Like, yeah,
Maybe they should just stay away from VR going forward.
that would be smart. That would be the smart move.
Yeah. You know
But
what I
so,
would like to see? Like, this would definitely be a gimmick. But like, the only other thing I can think of next is like, what if the next Nintendo system is like, I don't know, it's like it projects like a hologram, and you can just play the game looking at a hologram.
that would be cool. The tech's just not there. I mean, it's there, but it's so
Yeah,
it's so goddamn expensive. And Nintendo tends to
and
favor
it's not refined either.
yeah. Nintendo tends to favor disruptive innovation, so they're going to go cheaper, not more expensive. So it would be
Yeah,
cool, but that would be something you might see out of Microsoft or Sony before Nintendo.
yeah, I agree.
They sometimes just patent stuff to make sure no one else takes it. Iowa Retro Gamer Dad says, "Yeah, yep, 100%." Mike Clark says, "I'm hoping Switch 2 is just that. To be honest, it could come out in 2026, and I would be fine." Yeah, the smart move, Mike, is to not have a Switch 2 at all. The smart move is to continue with the Switch because we're about to go into like macroeconomic hell, buddy. And
Mm,
when we get there, the last thing people are going to have money for is new video game systems.
true.
Fluff like that tends to be the first to go.
Mm,
Um, we don't play the Switch much anymore in the house. We played Wonder when it came out and occasionally Mario Party, but that's about it. Yeah, you got to have an occasional game of Mario Party. Got to play Mario Party every once in a while, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. Now, Iowa,
mm.
what did you think of Mario Wonder? What did you think of that? If you could put that in the comments, I'm kind of curious and see how it lines up with what I thought. And then Mike Clark says, I told OJ Switch 2 in 2025 back in December, and he went on a long rant why I was stupid. Can't stand the guy. So here's the thing about OJ. OJ can be an acquired taste, Mike. Um, OJ is he's a personality, and so that means he's got to have those strong opinions. But what I would tell you is, like I told OJ, is who's laughing now with the 2025 Switch? I've been saying that for years too, Mike. And I get laughed at too. Prime and RGT and OJ, they've all been like, no, no way. It's definitely going to be 2024. And time converts more than reason. Now you've got all the press saying probably 2025. And that's just the way it is. And so just remember, just save that ammo, man. So now you can go back and tell OJ, hey, I was correct. And you know what, OJ? And here's the cool thing about OJ. Player Essence will literally tell you, yeah, you were correct. So I promise you, he won't move the goalposts. Like he's a stand-up guy as far as that goes. Like if you go and say, "Hey, told you so," he'll say, "Yeah." He'll say, "Yeah."
Yeah,
Um,
I like OJ. I've been watching him for a few years.
yeah, OJ. Yeah, I watched. I before I jumped in heavy, I lurked on OJ's streams for years. Very entertaining guy. He can come across as abrasive sometimes, but so can I, man. Like so can I. And
Yeah,
one thing that I'll say about OJ is he understands it's okay to be wrong. And he'll tell you like he's been wrong on occasions, and he admits when he's wrong, and that's really all you can ask for. Like if somebody wants to call me stupid, they can call me stupid. Like time converts more than reason. So yeah, if you think my take is
mm,
stupid, okay, sure, we'll find out in a couple of years, won't we? Maybe you're right. Maybe that
mm.
take was stupid. But in general, I don't tend to take too much umbrage to that kind of thing because in the end, time will prove me correct or incorrect. So
Yeah,
Um, Hideo really predicted this AI stuff nowadays with his games. LOL. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I often call it the fourth industrial revolution. Iowa Retro Gamer did. I think it's going to have profound effects on us. Now, Rush Dog actually has been sharing some information with me, kind of to the contrary of that, and I always like to see that contrarian take. But in general, yeah, AI has the potential to change every aspect of our life. So now it's hard to know right now how much of that is just tech bro nonsense and how much of that is like genuinely gonna stick because literally we're dealing with essentially what is large language models right now, not true AI. But it'll be fascinating to see the impact that AI continues to have on things. I think there was a court case me and Rush Dog were talking about in private chat where we were talking about a court case where literally they used AI to in their case, and the AI literally made up a case that never really even happened, and so the judge threw it out. So they were quoting precedent on a court case that was a fake court case that the AI just fucking made up.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was embarrassing. So I think there's big mistakes on that. So time will tell, for sure. And then IO Retro Gamer Dad says, it felt like it was just a made for fans to shut them up while they continued working on a more Odyssey style game. My son and I loved the co-op, but it was but it basically was just a rip-off of Super Mario Deluxe. Yeah, it didn't feel like a 2D Mario game to me. I actually agree with you in that in that IO Retro Gamer Dad. It felt off. It wasn't a bad game, but it's clear that Nintendo's heart and Miyamoto's heart continues to lie with the 3D Mario games, and they continue to just half-ass and ghettoize the 2D Mario games. Like they treat us like we are court-owned off customers, and so that may be why Mario Wonder is underperforming, quite frankly. Nobody talks about it anymore, just like nobody talks about Tears of the Kingdom anymore. And there's reasons for that. There's definitely reasons for that. So yeah, I hear that from a lot of people on Mario Wonder. Definitely. So Nimbus, you mentioned that if it wasn't for games, you wouldn't be here right now. If you don't mind, that might be a little personal, but if you don't mind, would you elaborate on that, or is that something you'd rather not elaborate on?
Oh no, like I don't mean like anything dark. I just mean like it's kind of obviously thanks to video games that has sort of shaped who I am as a person.
Oh, me too.
Because obviously, yeah. So like if Nintendo or just video games in general didn't exist, like then I'd be down a different hobby path, career path, all that kind of stuff, and I don't know, like. I'd be a different person and I'd know different people. So that's all I really meant was like timeline wise, like this is this timeline. And if video games weren't a thing, then that'd be another timeline.
No, I 100% agree with you. I don't even know what the fuck I'd be up to if I hadn't discovered video games early.
Yeah.
Like again, like you said, a totally different person. There's like another dimension where there's like that zoo that did totally, 100%. So okay, man, that's definitely true. And then Mike Clark says, I would never call somebody stupid or a liar over a guess. Yeah, liar is a little more loaded. Like stupid, that's pretty standard internet talk. Like I don't get bothered by that. Liar, you call me a liar. Now I'm starting to think you're serious.
Yeah.
So don't fucking call me a liar. I'm many things, but I'm not a fucking liar. I might be wrong. I might be stupid, but I'm not a liar. So everything I say is in good faith. Everything I say is in good faith. So yeah, just I would never call somebody stupid or a liar over a guess. Just my opinion. LOL. Yeah, if he called you a liar, you shouldn't have done that. That sucks. We'll hit you up about the turbo stuff. Definitely hit me up about the turbo stuff. But yeah, and I would never like to call anybody stupid either. Like yeah. I name calling. I find name calling isn't really good for dialectic because it immediately puts them on the defensive and makes them think you're operating in bad faith. Good faith conversations you have to at least operate from a perspective of trying to understand what the other party is trying to say. If you think the other party is stupid, or if you think they're liars, or if you think the other party is being disingenuous, you're not going to be having a genuine conversation with that person. So it's always best to operate under the assumption that they are in good faith until they reveal and out themselves for not being in good faith. Is kind of how I do it, Mike.
Yeah.
And so far, that rule has served me really well. I mirror energy and I assume good faith until I can't anymore.
Yeah.
I got to get back to work, guys. Glad to see Nimbus on here this morning and enjoyed this conversation. Yeah, I enjoyed having you, man. Anytime. And well, we'll have to see about getting you on too, buddy. I'd love to have you on here too. I'm always looking to talk to new peeps. And then he says, have a good day, everyone. Good night, Nimbus, LOL.
Take it easy.
So, all righty. So, I guess my next thing. So, that covers a lot of my questions. Oh, I got one more question for you before I give you an opportunity. My
Yes.
question for you is, what is your favorite odd burger topping that you wouldn't think to put on a burger since you're a burger lover?
Ooh. So you mean like for my own personal burger
Mm-hmm.
loving experience? Like, so something which other people don't normally put on, but I would put on.
Uh-huh.
Oh, geez, that is a good question. Because I feel like a lot of the things I'm thinking of, you could expect on a burger. Um, Actually, here's one that might be more aligned with Australian
Okay.
burger ideals. Uh, do you guys over there put beetroot on your burgers?
No, but I'm going to now.
Okay, because we do that with burgers here, like what we call like the works burger. So it's like everything. So we'll have like eggs, bacon, cheese, beef patties, beetroot, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, like everything. We just put
Beetroot.
everything on there.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is so good on burgers. It's like a staple here. It's like an Australian
Well,
staple for burgers.
beetroots and beet greens are some of the most delicious things on the planet. So why wouldn't it
Yeah,
be good on a fucking burger?
yeah, it's amazing.
Like I do
It's
sauteed beet
really good.
greens all the time as a side for like a steak or some shit. Like yeah. So
Yeah.
beet greens are so good. You put a little bit of butter in there. Oh man. So yeah, I will
Mm,
definitely try that on a burger now. I'm gonna blow your fucking mind now. You ready?
hit me up.
Fried egg,
Oh,
over medium. So make sure you have the egg yolk.
yep.
Peanut butter,
Oh,
bacon jam.
that sounds amazing. That sounds
Best
like a good breakfast to wake up to.
best fucking hamburger that is an oddball you'll ever have, Nimbus.
I have to do that for breakfast one day because that
Basic,
sounds like a good breakfast burger.
yeah. Bacon jam. Yeah, butter, bacon, egg, and burger. Oh my, yeah, Mike, it's good. What happens is you bite
Wow.
into that egg, and that egg yolk mixes with that melted peanut butter and that bacon jam, and it is the perfect mix of like
Oh,
savory, sweet. It's
I was
every
gonna
flavor
say,
profile.
yeah.
It's so fucking good.
Zoo, you're gonna have to like remind me about that because I might forget after the stream.
Well, in this arcade, yeah, I'll definitely remind you because there's an arcade. I first got this at a burger joint called Burger Antics. So Burger
Okay.
Antics
Yep.
is
Yep.
there's an arcade called the Galloping Ghost. It's one of my favorite places on earth. It is the world's largest arcade, actually, and they've ripped the
Oh
coin
wow.
out. They've ripped the coin op out, so you basically pay one time in the morning, and you can spend all day there and play as many arcade games as you want.
Wow.
And basically, they've got a push button start instead of the coin op. They've converted the arcades to be push button start.
Yeah.
And there's a place right around the corner from it called Burger Antics, and they serve that burger. It's a
My
it's a
God.
it's a burger and bourbon bar, and it was oh my god, I was so impressed that I do it at home now on a brioche bun is what they do it on.
Oh, brioche. I love brioche
Yep,
buns.
they did it on a brioche bun, and then there's other burgers they put on a potato bun. But this one had
Ooh, potato bun.
yeah, this one had it'd be good either way, but this one had the brioche bun, and it was perfect. It was fucking perfect.
I love brioche because like the way like they're so soft, but then they also crunch as well. Oh,
Hey, I'll tell you the other one. If
so
you like
good.
crunchy, try an English muffin for just do your normal hamburger and then swap it with an English muffin instead of a burger bun.
Yeah, I could do that.
Toasted English muffin with butter. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, you got to have it lightly toasted.
Oh yeah. God, I'm getting hungry.
Ooh,
I'm getting hungry now. Get my scrub on.
yeah, same, same.
So I guess next up, I always like to give my guests an opportunity. Is there any questions you had for me? Anything you want to ask me?
I don't know if it's really a question, but like, I've definitely, I don't know, it's just more just like thoughts, really.
Yeah.
Because
Hit me up.
I've seen you like on OJ's and Andre Restart streams for like years, man. Because I've been following, because like I've been following them both. Like I've been following OJ for about I think 6 years because I started watching his content around 2018, and I think I've been following Andres for about probably 3 years.
Yeah.
And because I'm pretty sure you're a mod in the streams on both their channels, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen you, man. Like I've seen the Flipping the Switch name, and I'm just like, oh wow, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But like, I just didn't realize how much more deeper and integrated that sort of gaming YouTube community actually was. Because when I started actively making more content for my channel, actually doing like gaming related stuff, that was beginning of last year. And just through, I don't know, chance and luck, I met a couple of people, and then I got to meet other content creators through them. And I just didn't realize how well everybody kind of already knew each other. And
Yeah.
I was finding out, like, the Rad Bash knew this person, and then, like, this person knew that person. I'm like, how the hell do you guys know each other? I'm like, I didn't realize everyone kind of already knew each other.
So I can
What is
tell,
going
yeah. So I can tell you what happened from my perspective. So, I am loud and opinionated, as you know, and
Yeah.
basically I met OJ and Andre the same way I met most of my Twitter peeps, and that is loud arguments on Twitter with
Right,
them.
right.
That's how that happened. And
Okay, then.
you just get a good back and forth going, and again, you gain mutual respect for each other. And hell, I
Yeah,
was doing that before I even made content. Um,
yeah,
because I'm kind of the same way. Like, I because if you go way back, like I've done this YouTube song and dance before. A lot of people don't know that. So I have had channels in the past, and essentially I usually pull the trigger on them around 150, 200. Usually, I'll pull the trigger on a channel and
mm,
just kill it. And then just
yeah,
get off the internet for a couple years and then come back. It's just one of those things I do. I like a smaller, more
mm,
intimate community. Generally, is the reason for
yeah,
that. Once a community grows too big, you lose track of it. You can't have the same kind of rapport with your community you once had, and so that's a good time to typically pull the trigger. Actually held on
right,
longer now than I have any time since like 2012, 2014. Now in 2012,
yeah,
2014 is where I kind of had my largest presence. And that was actually not even in the gaming space. That was like the whole like internet like blood sports debate back and forth shit where you just play me dozens and
yeah,
insult each other and shit. That was fun times, but it I wouldn't want to do it today. Um, but long story short is the earliest internet presence I have goes back to 2012, and that's the Super NES Hub, just writing reviews. But yeah,
yeah,
I go way back, but I usually scrub the stuff. I couldn't scrub that because I actually don't own the server. Masamune owns that server, and he's like, "No, I respect that you want that, but he's like the writing. I like the writing, so we want to keep these up." So I'm like, "No, okay, whatever." So that was kind of the first appearance of the Mungunzu handle.
yeah,
But I've resurfaced every now and then ever since like 2010, 2012. Just every once in a while, and it'll happen again at some point. Um, all of a sudden, I'll just be gone, and I'll reemerge under a new name. Nobody will know who the fuck I am, but that's kind of how I like it. But I've stuck around a lot longer this time, just because a lot of peeps. I've met a lot of really cool peeps this time around. Jay from Cold
yeah.
Nights, OJ, like um, yeah, Andre will be on the show in the future, I'm sure. Um, Eye Patch Wolf, John. Some people know Super Eye Patch Wolf, who's incredible creator. Um,
Isn't he like a really big YouTuber?
Eye Patch Wolf's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah,
He's a pretty big. He's kind of a big deal. Yeah, he
yeah.
of the YouTubers I'm in contact with, John is probably the biggest. He's over 1 million.
Damn.
So yeah, John he's crazy busy though.
Oh yeah, it would be.
But you want to talk about like the head of the table for YouTube content for me, like in terms of like actual video quality and production, it's iPad Wolf, man. Like that dude, every time that dude drops a video, it's a fucking work of art. Now you only get about 6
Damn.
of them a year, but when he drops anything by Eye Patch Wolf, watch it. Anything by Eye Patch Wolf.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've actively watched his content in the past, but like I know the name, like I know the YouTube handle. I'm like, that sounds like a big name.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool as hell. His video on
Yeah.
Garfield, what the internet did to Garfield is insanity. And John's probably the best storyteller in the business, like aspirational levels of storytelling. So I would encourage you to watch him. And also, you're an anime fan, so he does some great anime takes. He's got some
Oh,
got some
fantastic.
shit ones too, but don't we all?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, again, speaking of which, fuck, we didn't even get a chance to talk anime. We're gonna have you on for a round 2 just for the anime.
I know.
Holy
We're gonna
shit!
have to.
So, all righty, we'll look at these final comments real quick. Let's see here. Some of the best food I've ever had. Also served bourbon. Great show, guys. I appreciate that. Yep, we definitely appreciate that. Any other questions for me, Nimbus?
Man, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
um, I don't know, man. Like all I'm gonna say is like, yeah, I'd be keen to talk about a whole bunch of stuff going forward.
Oh, fuck yeah, we'll definitely have you back. So, well, that said, I think we'll wrap it up. We'll let you get some. We'll let you get some late night snack. I'm gonna get breakfast, and I do have one last question for you, though, Nimbus.
Yes,
Yeah, Nimbus, have you had? Did you have fun?
I certainly did.
All righty. Well, we'll definitely make it happen again. Um, Jay says, "Great show, fellas. Thanks, Jay, for coming out. I appreciate you." And actually, I'll be giving
Thanks,
you a
Jay.
yeah, and I'll be giving you a Discord call here shortly, Jay, if you got time to take one. I want to kind of check in, see how you're doing on the Bees Bowl game. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up, guys. I'm going to go grab some food. And if you want to stay on here with me real quick for a quick denouement, I'll pull up that Chrono Cross soundtrack for you. But everybody, love you. See you guys later. See you on the next show, which might be tomorrow. And get the fuck out of here.